Salutes, salutes. This is your boy Loyal back again for another, I hope, informative show. So check it out. If you guys haven't noticed, we're winding down to the election and everybody's getting pumped. Even those who say don't vote. They getting pumped too. But we gotta pay attention to something. All this hype about the election is gonna do one thing. It's gonna cause people to lose track of their motivations. Motivations like what you do on a daily. What you do that makes you feel good is what makes you who you are. So keep at it. Don't let nobody tell you you're doing nothing wrong. But today I'm going to talk about sugar. Sugar. Yep. Everybody's favorite white powdery substance. And you know, everybody's on it. Everybody's on sugar. I don't care what people tell you. Talking about sugar's bad. I stopped eating sugar. Let me tell you guys something. You can't escape it. Sugar is in everything. Sugar is not your enemy. It's not the sugar that's your enemy. It's your quantity of sugar intake. So check it out. I'm going to tell you guys something. First, I'm going to read. So that determines their quantity and intake of this sweetener, natural plant sweetener called sugar. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, because people are changing their lives dynamically, getting rid of old traditions, getting rid of family dishes, doing all of these things that transform you from an individual into a drone, into a sheep. This is the process of demoralizing people of a nation and turning them into a colony. And the reason why that's important is because colonies never last. They never last. Colonies come and go. You know, that's why we have such things as nations. Because nations are where colonies settle, where groups of people, tribes, units, large regiments of people become individuals in nations, because then you have what they call freedoms. And see, slowly but surely, people are losing their freedoms, not by force, because they never can force everybody, but by choice. So, what I'm trying to tell people is this: don't allow your freedoms to be given away. Don't give them away. Don't be persuaded to give them away. Make the choice for yourself. Because a lot of people are being pressured and peer pressured into becoming part of the herd. And see, the problem with that is the more sheep in the herd, the less individuals we have to manage them. Because the sheep have to be managed. And to see, you don't want one herdsman or one sheep guy controlling millions of sheep, because then the sheep become unruly and out of control. We need lots of herdsmen. We need lots of shepherds out here to herd their flocks. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, your family is your flock. That's why it almost sounds the same. Family, flock. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be herding your flock until they become shepherds themselves and herd their own flocks. And that's how it goes. That's how traditions are created. You raise your kids to be strong, independent individuals so they can raise their kids to be strong individuals. And then these individuals can form a strong nation. United States contrary to popular belief, is the strongest nation on this plane right now because of one thing: freedom. And we are giving our freedoms away by falling for the okie doke. Don't fall for the okie doke, man. Don't fall for the juke move. Fall flat on your face, and then all the sheep start laughing at you. Be an individual. Pay attention to detail. And understand that people tell you what sounds good. Now, I'm telling you right now something that might not sound good to a lot of you guys. Because people are brainwashed into thinking that everyday items harm you. It's not the everyday items that harm you. It's those individual items that you do on the fringe that harm you, that make a big impact in your life. And what do I mean by that? Everybody should know what I'm talking about. It's not you waking up every day making sausage, eggs, ham, or whatever you want to put on your plate and eating it for breakfast. No, 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 no. It's those occasions where you go and visit these people that tell you that you're going to die and that you need this special remedy in order to counter that death that's coming for everybody. It's demoralizing. That's why people feel obligated and they feel trapped, because they don't feel like they have any other option. It's a form of demoralization. It's like how we used to look at the pimps when they used to have their hoes out on the street. They would demoralize them on a constant basis, making them feel as if they have no other choice but to sell their bodies and to give the profits to them. And the reason why that's important to understand, because that's an old psychology that was taught by colonizers that moved from place to place, exploiting, excuse me, exploiting nations and individuals. And then once they finish, they move on. So, what I'm trying to get at is this right here. Individuality is frowned upon. Group mentality is celebrated. If you want to be led by the nose like a bull with a ring in it, go ahead. Follow the advice of people you don't know, of people that don't have your best interests in mind, and see what happens. The same thing happened to your ancestors or your relatives, your older relatives, is going to happen to you. Reason being is because when you don't have a strong shepherd, you don't have a solid foundation or support system. And that's by design. That's not because people are just dumb. Nobody is inherently dumb. Even the ones that act like they are. They're not inherently dumb. The problem is with people is that we trust too easy the things that other people tell us. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the juke. Fall on your face so the other sheep can laugh at you. Be the individual and pay attention to detail. Now, sugar, right, comes from two sources in America. I don't know about any sugar being created from some weird chemical that they've dug up from the ground and they've created sugar out of. It only comes from sugar beets and sugar cane, where they actually press the chlorophyll from the plant and dehydrate it to make granulated sugar. And they say bleach is bad for you. Bleaching sugar is not the same as bleaching your socks or your white t-shirts or your whites. It's not the same thing. Totally different process. Sugar goes through a rinsing process. They used to show this on PBS back in the day, even on the Mr. Rogers show, on how sugar was made. A lot of you grown-ass people forgot this, especially if you're in my age bracket, and you're allowing these young people to fall for the okie doke, the juke, and fall on their face, and you're participating in the laughter. But the thing is that what goes around comes around because karma is damn fucking real. Karma is real. And look, what you put out is what you get back. See? And it has nothing to do with supernatural properties. It has something to do that nothing under the sun is new. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is repeatable. We've been through this process before, and you've had people like me trying to lessen the burden of the process on other people. See, my job is to correct the karmic flow of things in my life, and in terms correct it in other people's lives too. So when I find out new things that affect me in a negative way, and I dispel them, and I figure out why they're doing it, then I pass it on. Not to a rate where I have to sell it, or not to a rate where I change large groups of people's minds. That's not the case. Only a few people need these tips and tricks and understandings, and they'll be able to spread it on to other people. The main thing about this is to shepherd your flock. Now, if you don't have a flock, what I mean is a family, and you just solo by yourself, well, these personal improvements will affect your life. And what I mean by that, as in longevity. See, because I'm a firm believer in life is living, and living is heaven. All right? Death is dying, and dying is hell. And that's what my whole outlook on life is. Because we've been lied to over the years about these simple things that affect us greatly in life. And one of those things is the topic that I'm talking about today, sugar. Sugar is not your enemy. Sugar is plant chlorophyll. Humans create sugar in the form of lactose. Women, you breastfeed with lactose. That's your body turning the food you eat into sugar. Okay, so I'm not a scientist, and I'm not just making this up. This has been put out for decades before I came along and read it to you. I didn't discover it, I'm just reading it to you. Or I'm just explaining it to you. See, because a lot of people feel like they have no other choice but to believe in the so-called experts, the same people who put this information out, but refused to explain it to you in a way that you can understand. And that's what I'm trying to do. See, they put this information out about sugar a long time ago, about how harmless sugar is, just like table salt, how harmless table salt was, because it comes from a natural source. It comes from plant chlorophyll. Salt comes from minerals underground. But these industries that want to sell you their brand of sugar and their brand of salt will tell you that granulated sugar is bad for you, causes diabetes, hypertension, blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? And you get all flustered and afraid and go to your cabinets and throw away hundreds of dollars worth of shit that you believe is harmful to you that's really not. Okay? So, to save you the trouble and the drama, I just want to explain to you why it's important to pay attention to detail. If you're just listening to what people are telling you and not observing for yourself, then you are committing a crime not only against yourself, but to your flock as well. So don't be discouraged by the shit you see on TV about sugar and hypertension and all of this shit and diabetes. Look into it for yourself. All of the people that are pushing these plant-based diets are pushing sugar. They're pushing sugar. The thing that causes green leafies to turn green, dark green, luscious and beautiful and look tasty is sugar. Okay? The thing that makes apples bright red and juicy and sumptuous is sugar. Same thing with oranges, plums, grapes, tangerines, flowers, anything you want to think of that grows on God's green earth is made and produced with sugar. Now, I know that sounds contradictory, but I want to tell you this. It's not about how you get the sugar. It matters about the quantity of it. Now, the only negative side effects that were taught to us when we were kids, and I'm only 40-something years old, was that you will get a sugar rush and you would get a sugar crash. Now, what is a sugar rush and sugar crash? Sugar rush is when your body is utilizing that glucose, right, as a carbohydrate. What is a carbohydrate? It's in the words. It's just like hydrocarbon. The same thing we use in our vehicles. Our vehicles use hydrocarbons to drive and to fuel the engines. Well, carbohydrates is the same thing for the human body. It's fuel for the human body. Now, what happens when you flood the engine with hydrocarbons? Okay? Most people don't know this. If you are getting an overwhelming amount of liquid fuel in the engine, you will get a seizing, where the engine will crash, where the engine will stop working. It will lock up. And that's the equivalent to a sugar rush and a crash. Same thing. But just like with an engine, you do to your body the same thing. You would flush the sugar out, or you would drain the fuel out of the engine. Now, this is not a hard task, because everybody know of this draining process of the sugar when you have too much in your system. And that's a carcinogen called water. Believe it or not, water is a carcinogen. Most people don't know that. Most people can't understand how water is a carcinogen. And yes, carcinogen, as in the one that they say, the word carcinogen, that they say causes cancers. Now, why is that important? Because they're not going to tell you that water is carcinogenic. You know why water is carcinogenic? Because it's an oxidizer. An oxidizer is one of the elements of acids. So, if you want to create an acid, first you need a carcinogenic. First you need a liquid that's carcinogenic, that's corrosive, that can contain acidic products, like citrus acids or something like that, and then you concentrate. And usually the concentration stage is a distilling stage, an evaporation, a liquefaction, and then the concentration until you get the right mixture of your acids. That's not complicated shit. It might sound like it, but at the same time, it's very simple if you pay attention to detail. Now, why is it important? Because if you give your kids sugar at night, they're going to be up all night working those carbohydrates off, working that fuel off. But what you don't know is, and what a lot of parents practice is, don't drink water before you go to bed because they're afraid that the kids might urinate in their beds. Well, that's the exact same way you get the child to train or flush their engine. When you consume water, carbohydrates are dissolved and diluted and flushed out of the systems in the form of urine. Now, I'm not just saying this because I want to sound smart. That's just basic layman observation. Anything you consume, when you add a carcinogen to it, like water, an oxidizer, it breaks it down and dilutes it so the body can pass it easier. Water is in everything you drink, from coffee to soda to alcohol, even to blood. And there's, believe it or not, there's a lot of folks out there that are drinking blood. But that's a whole nother story in itself. But let's stick to sugar and why we should look at sugar not as a hindrance, but as a tool. And the reason why we should is because, believe it or not, sugar just like salt, it's the lifeblood of creation. It's in everything, y'all. Sugar is in everything. All plants, all animals, and in all soils. In some form, shape, or form, sugar is in everything. Just like salt is in everything. See? And in some ways, you can even tie sugar and salt together as being two building blocks of what we call creation. So don't be discouraged when you hear all these people, and it's usually these internet sensations talking about sweeteners and all of this stuff, what you can use as an alternative. They're telling you to eat the same shit. They're telling you, go eat some agave. Go and eat some natural sugars. Well, tell you what, all sugars are natural. The agave sugar is the same as brown sugar. Okay? These other types, these alternative sugars are the same as the granulated sugar you have in your cabinet that you use for tea and coffee. If you don't believe me, follow the chain. Follow the reaction. Follow the creation of these things, and you'll find out that they are all linked. We're talking about just different concentrations of it. So it's not it's not quality, it's the quantity of sugar that you're intaking. Too much of these artificial sweeteners that everybody's calling natural can have the same negative effect as regular sugar, which is a rush and a crash. Same shit. But people need to sell products, and I'm not bashing their products at all, because they are just like everything else we have in our life. They're all tools. Tools for what? For you to utilize in your day-to-day to achieve your personal goals. So look, don't let people tell you that you are doing something that's harmful and promoting something that's harmful by telling you that sugar is bad and having you feel like you have to get rid of all your sweets, all your sugars, because if that's the case, you might as well empty out your entire fucking refrigerator, because if you eat a beet, you're eating the same amount of sugar from a beet that you would be in a Coke can, in a can of Coke. Okay? So, I know that was a lot of stuff to put out to people and let them hear that stuff, but look, hey man, I'm not a teacher. This is the raw, unfiltered understanding of this stuff, and I'm just trying to talk about it so it becomes a topic that people actually look at instead of taking other people's word for it. We need more conversations about stuff like this, because we got people turning their lives upside down, destroying their families, trying to live these unrealistic ass lifestyles because they're trying to sacrifice for a life that they're not going to get. So, hey man, what you do that makes you happy is what makes you you. Believe me, if you can't be happy and satisfied in what you do, then you're not going to be an individual. You're just going to be trying to play catch up to the crowd. And believe me, at this moment, there's only a few shepherds herding the flock. That's why most people are doing the same things. Be an individual. Stand out, become your own shepherd. Herd your own flock or your own family. Raise them to be good shepherds and good stewards of themselves, so they can raise up good sheep that have become herds as well, and also become sheep herders. And don't let people tell you you're doing something wrong that makes you happy. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, they're not happy. And they get satisfaction and happiness from making you miserable. In other words, because most of these gurus don't understand what food does to the human mind. When you have a good meal that tastes good and it nourishes your body, and you eat it, and every taste is treasured, man, you have a great outlook on life. The reason why we have a lot of, and this is just my opinion, the reason why we have a lot of people running around that are just assholes and dicks is because guess what? They don't have no enjoyment in their life at all. They're sacrificing everything. Some of the top vegetarians are walking around with this knot in their chest and in their stomach because they're just so fucking caught up on, this is wrong. You can't do it that way. It's destroying the environment. Man, get off your fucking high horse. Enjoy life. I bet you if they ate a fucking steak, they would mellow the fuck out and have a great day. But no, they over there sitting in the fucking corner eating some carrots and some lettuce, and they're fucking envying you because you're over there enjoying your meal. So don't let people tell you that. You want to have a soda pop? Hey man, go get you a fucking soda. Pop that soda and drink it. It makes you feel good. It gives you a little pep in your step. By all means, do what makes you happy. But it's quantity, okay? Anything you drink in excess will harm you. Water, for instance. Intake too much water and you'll fucking drown. Intake less and your brain will smell. I mean, not smell, but swell. Intake a little bit less and you'll feel bloated. Intake a little bit less and you'll urinate a lot. Intake the right amount and you're hydrated. There you have it. There you have it. I just broke that down backwards. It's called attention to detail, and that's all we have to do. Pay attention to what makes you feel good. All right? And if you can, repeat that. Rinse and repeat that. Okay? It's all about moderation. Just because you buy a whole gallon of soda pop don't mean you got to drink it that day. You can cherish the soda every day with a glass and have you a glass a day. Same thing comes with being healthy and taking care of yourself. All right? You don't have to go in the gym and kill it the same day. No, just take your time and pace yourself. And if you're a little overweight, hey, give it time and keep at it. And you'll fix that problem you have. But do it when you're happy. You can't do it when you're miserable. A lot of people are just fucking miserable because they're doing all of what we call sacrifice. Stop sacrificing. Stop sacrificing. Stop sacrificing. Salutes. That's the conclusion of my video today, and I hope y'all like it. Stay tuned for more, and yo, come walk with your boy.